Hey guys, this is Otakon, and in this video I wanted to take a quick look at my PS3 collection and kind of ramble on about my thoughts on the PS3 in general. Now you could argue that the Xbox 360 was more successful in the last generation in the US, but for Japan and for Japanese games, the PS3 is superior by far. The Xbox 360 tried to make some inroads early in the beginning with Blue Dragon and whatnot, and it kind of didn't really take off and kind of died in Japan. So, here is my PS3 library, some of it at least. Now, the real nice thing about the PS3 is they finally decided to make home console region free, so those of us who kind of play a lot of import games don't have to buy a separate console or go through a lot of hoops to be able to enjoy the games that we purchase. Now, while that's a good thing, it does make things a bit more complicated, because the Blu-ray has so much capacity that a lot of these games, even with the English and Japanese audio track, would fit on the disc. So some games include Japanese and English on the same disc. One example here is Dragon's Dogma. Now, a lot of these games don't have an option in the game to select the language. You have to change your system console's language to Japanese in order to get the full Japanese audio and text. But there's nothing. The problem is there's nothing on the box that kind of labels what languages it supported. So it's hit or miss. You have really no way to know. Another example here is Ninja Gaiden Sigma. Until you actually buy the game, try it, or ask someone who has the game, you have no way to know if it has dual language support. And certainly, more often than not, the games don't have dual audio, or sometimes they tout dual audio as a feature. That means that it's not gonna. If they're touting as a feature, it doesn't have both languages fully. It's not gonna have the text or any dialogue that's not spoken will be in English. And personally, the dual audio option doesn't really make sense to me, because it's saying, okay, you can get the Japanese audio, but we're not going to give you the text. So it's only for people who want to hear Japanese but can't read Japanese and are not actually playing the game in Japanese. So makes no sense to me. I bought the Record of Argus War 0, and I didn't know about this dual audio thing, and it was baffling. It's like, okay, only the spoken dialogue is in Japanese and is written, the subtitles in English. It's really confusing and stupid. But anyway, so here's eventually imported copy of record Agasenki 0. So hit or miss. I do have a blog post which lists kind of all the games that do have both languages. So do check it out if you're interested in playing English release or games released in the United States in Japanese. Another example here is Blaze Blue Calamity Trigger. Got it for a great price, way more cheaper than importing it, and turns out it has both languages. I probably wouldn't have imported the sequel Blaze Blue Extend if I knew that it was going to have dual audio languages. So, Steam finally has recently added like this full matrix that tells you exactly what language is available and what, whether it's text and audio. It would have been really nice to have that for here as well, but yeah, kind of have to roll with it. Now the PS3 library is there's not as many JRPGs as the PS2, and I think there's several reasons for this. Number one, the PS2 is the most successful console. You can say out of any consoles ever made. So it's never gonna get that kind of library and support. But also, I think around the PS3 era, the PSP was out, and especially the newer handhelds, you can finally get kind of close to that home console experience on the go, and with video and full audio. So, given the lifestyle of Japan with very small living quarters and a lot of public transportation, I think a lot of games a lot of JRPGs shifted to the handhelds. So there's, like I kind of talked about in my previous video, there are tons of JRPGs on the PSP, especially, and game quote unquote journalists like to say, oh, JRPGs are dying, and um, they're coming out. They come out with the same rehashed formula. Well, they have no idea what they're talking about. First of all, like I said, a lot of the JRPGs have transitioned to handhelds, especially since they're cheaper to make as well. And with a system like the PSP, which didn't sell as well overseas, there was not much financial incentive to localize a lot of the games, so they probably don't even know about all those games. And also, people love to hate on games like Final Fantasy 13, but all these JRPGs are constantly innovating and coming out with new mechanics, new battle systems. So I definitely think it's inaccurate to say that kind of the gameplay has kind of been overdone. I would say if you want to look at a genre where there's very little innovation, I would say look at first-person shooters. That genre probably has the least amount of innovations, and they keep pumping out the same games every year. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion on the PS3 library. It's a great library, lots of gems, exclusive gems like Ni no Kuni. And I think that's about all I had to say about the system. So I think I'll end the video here, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.